Welcome in to Bears Weekly, powered by IGS Energy, a Chicago Bears network production. Bears Weekly is brought to you by Advocate Healthcare, Athletico Physical Therapy, CDW, Connie's Pizza, IGS Energy, and Miller Lite. Here are your hosts, Jeff Joniak, a.k.a. the Mayor of Bearsville, and his sidekick, Tom the Surfmaster Thayer.
It's an important week 3 for the Bears as they greet the Dallas Cowboys. 3:25 Sunday at Soldier Field. This is Bears Weekly on ESPN 1000 and the Chicago Bears Radio Network with Super Bowl winning Bears guard Tom Thayer. I'm Jeff Joniak. Coming up in the program, we visit with Bears running back DeAndre Swift and former Cowboys quarterback Steve Beuerlein. Dan Barilli, Jordan Tredup, and Katie Fox, our producers. Jack McGrath in studio tonight, and the executive producer of the Bears Radio Network is Eric Ostrowski. Tom, this is going to be some kind of a banger on Sunday. I just have a funny feeling this is going to be a dramatic affair, and it's going to go down to the wire, and I just think the Bears are going to be reset. They're going to get really aggressive and physical after a great week of practice and a redefined approach by the coaching staff led by Ben Johnson, and the Cowboys coming off a really dramatic win over the Giants. You look at this. Both teams dealing with division. And within the division in the early part of the season, anything can happen. Now we go outside of the division, and now we're going to find out some things.
Yeah, listen, first of all, I'm going to go back to the start of the week when Ben Johnson was at the podium. And he kind of sent a message out there to everybody within that organization that puts on a jersey and that coaches the players in the jerseys. And he's saying we all got to do a better job. I need better effort and practice, and I need better concentration. So if I was on that team, the one thing that would tell me is I better be buckled down. I better make sure that I'm in my tablet. I better make sure that when I come on the field that I'm dressed and ready to give everything that I have during the week before the game. And so this week, I'm going to leave the word incremental behind. I'm looking for significant.
There you go.
So I'm looking for significant improvements by this football team, especially on offense, because now they have a number of snaps under their belt. They get directly behind center. They have shotgun snaps. They have play action. They have downfield passing game. And they've seen the running game and what it offers you from DeAndre Swift. And now you get Monangai and Roschon Johnson back in the mix. So I am looking for significant improvement at home in a beautiful Sunday afternoon start.
And leave behind what happened in Detroit. We start with Eric Bieniemy, the Bears running back coach, always fiery on the practice field. The offensive assistants available today at Hallis Hall, and got into that game and the running back room and DeAndre Swift and all of that. Let's listen in to Eric Bieniemy.
We got to make sure that we're creating our own energy. We can't control everything, but one thing we can control is the energy that we bring. Good, bad, or indifferent, whatever takes place on that particular play, we got to line up and go enjoy the next moment and go play that next play, making sure that we can turn it into a positive, regardless of the outcome. And then when it's all said and done, with making sure that we're sacrificing and doing all the little things to make whatever particular player in that particular moment the best player. And that way now, that starts generating more positivity. Okay, and then guys start learning how to play harder for one another. But it's a part of the process right now. And obviously we would love to be 2-0. Unfortunately we're not. But the thing that's been good is that it's been a great learning experience because you can point out certain situations where you can turn on the tape and say, hey, fellas, these are some areas that we need to be better. These are some of the things that we need to continue working on. These are some of the little things, okay, that's keeping us or preventing us from being where we want to be.
What's going on in your room? Like, aside from the teaching and everything, what's fun about the room? How do you keep it fresh every day? What's your unique twist on it?
You know what? I engage these guys. I make them talk. I force them to talk. And I know, and here's the thing. I'll say this. I got some very beautiful young men who have beautiful personalities, but they're very quiet. That's the most quietest room that I've ever had. And so
the antithesis of you, yes. Correct?
And so exactly. And normally I'm used to somebody out talking me, but I make them, I engage them in conversations and force them to talk because, it's like if we're going through a blitz tape, I want that particular player to be the quarterback or be the center, make the call. All right. How do you see it? What would you do? How would you call it? And so On top of that, there's some moments that come up. You try and keep it light. You tell a joke. These young guys don't get some of the older jokes, so you got to explain it to them, and then they may laugh. But I got a great group of young men, and they work at it. It's important to them. They're very businesslike, okay? But on top of that, what I want them to do is making sure that they're allowing their personalities to show each and every time they step out on that field. That's important.
What do you think with DeAndre? What is his personality on the field?
You know what? I think his personality, he is who he is. He's a quiet kid, but he's very quick twitch. All right. He does a great job in pass pro, has very good hands, and he always plays like he has something to prove. So that's been his personality. And I like the way he leads the room as well. And so he's a great character kid that always puts his hard hat on, but also understand we can be better. We always got something to work upon. So we got to make sure that we're continuing to work on the little detail aspects of all of our game. So now we can help our team to continue to grow.
He's an interesting cat, man. When he he's just got this diabolical grin on his face. He talked very calmly about where they're at and what he's looking for, but when he gets in his room, I bet that place is fiery in there.
It's something because Eric Bieniemy is the most extroverted guy in the room, and he seems to think that the players are an introverted group of guys. And sometimes it's just the feeling out process of getting to know your position coach, even though they've been with them since OTAs. But then when you get into the regular season, it's a whole different ball of wax. You don't have a lot of time to jack around. Everything's about installing new information, getting ready for your next opponent, or, checking out the game that you just played. So, listen, I've been a big fan of Eric Bieniemy since he's come aboard. I love his personality, and I think it's kind of infectious that it can not only filter to the running backs room, but it can also filter to the rest of the offensive player. Johnny Rowland, the running backs coach, when I played with the Bears that had Walter Payton, Dennis Gentry, Neil Anderson, and the whole crew, Matsui, he could kind of spill his advice to the offensive linemen as well. And I think every one of us appreciated that because he maybe had a different voice of opinion than Dick Stanfield did, our offensive line coach, but he had a tremendous amount of respect in that coaching staff, ex-player, a lot like Bieniemy.
Yeah, no question. With DeAndre Swift, of course, Kyle Monangai got his first rushing attempts this past week and did pretty well against Detroit. And I'm still trying to determine where Roschon Johnson fits into the mix. Yes, on special teams, 20 snaps and a very good special teams tackle in the game against Detroit. What do you envision moving forward?
Well, first of all, I think Monangai and Roschon Johnson, both of them are really good blockers. So if you wanted to insert them in certain second, long, and third down situations to be an outlet receiver, but have a blitz pickup responsibility first, I think both of those guys can manage that task. DeAndre Swift has done a nice job of running the ball, but I think each of these guys, if they're fed a few carries week in and week out, you're going to get a better understanding of where they're going to be after the bye week, week 4, and for the rest of the season.
Is this a game where you run to set up the pass or pass to set up the run, Tommy?
First, I'm going to run first. I am going to give my offensive line a chance to be physical at the line of scrimmage. Create a little deception so when I do want to go for that play-action pass and whomever it's involving running backs, tight ends, or wide receivers, I want to be able to hit on a couple play actions where you get this defense off balance or more concerned about the running game than they are the passing game and see if you can get an explosive.
All right, we'll learn more from DeAndre Swift. He's coming up next here on ESPN 1000 on the Bears Radio Network.
This is Bears Weekly with the voice of the Bears for 24 years, Jeff Joniak on the Bears Radio Network.
This segment of Bears Weekly is brought to you by IGS Energy. Here's our conversation with Bears running back DeAndre Swift. All right, thanks for being here, man.
Sure, thank you.
How you doing? You doing well?
I'm good. How you doing?
Yeah, great. What's been your approach like here for 2025?
Just waking up every single day, coming into the building with intent, purpose, just being better than I was the day before. That's really all I can control. That's really been my purpose, and not going to change.
Yeah, has this been consistently DeAndre Swift throughout his career? exactly like that?
Most definitely. Right mindset going into it, right approach. Every day I wake up, taking each day and making the most of that day. And I mean, just focus on getting better.
All right, I talked to Coach Bieniemy before this interview, and I said, "Hey, what's your room like?"
Yeah.
He just started laughing. He goes, "I have the quietest group of running backs I have ever been around." He goes, "They are wonderful human beings, wonderful young men, but boy, are they quiet." And he's not, right?
He could be quiet enough because he got all the voice.
Yeah, I mean, so does he do most of the talking in there?
100%.
He's teaching, but how are you guys growing? Because that's a family in there. Like that's a family situation going there. How does that work?
It's been great, and it's continuing to grow. Like he said, the human beings we got in that room is phenomenal. But since he's been in there, since he got the job, it's just been great for us, for me individually. Just somebody I can relate to, just how real he is as a coach and as a man. This type of person you had that respect for outside of football. Just one you appreciate.
Give me some examples. In what sense?
He'll put stuff in perspective as far as like life and things like that. We'll have one-on-one conversations about stuff outside of football. Just somebody you can go to and he's gonna give you the real. You know what I mean? That's just kind of something that I relate to.
Yeah. Have you popped tape on him?
I haven't. But I've heard all the stories. I know he's a leading rusher in Colorado.
Yeah. Exactly.
I've heard all great things on the field, but I know him for more of the coaching aspect of it.
Yeah, for sure. What's more important for you, burst or vision?
I think
can't say both. Pick one.
Okay. I would say you kind of go hand in hand, but I would say vision first, and then after the vision, you gotta like have the burst. You know what I'm saying? It goes hand in hand.
Yeah, and as over the course of your career, you could always lean on both, right? Like you've run the ball so long in your life, all the way back to high school as a true freshman.
Depending on what type of run, scheme, how it's being blocked up, how the defense is playing, all that comes into account.
Are you getting comfortable with the guys up front now? It's 3/5 of a new offensive line.
Yes, I would say I am, and that type of thing comes over time, just like everything else that's new. You know what I mean? But the relationship I'm building with those guys up front, and then just the reps that we continue to stack each and every week, man, it's going to be better because of it.
From your experience, how long does something like that take?
New, couple weeks.
Yeah,
couple weeks. Yeah, but I feel like we're gonna start turning the corner as we need to as an offense in general. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's everybody included.
Yeah. What is Ben Johnson and the type of plays he's put in this playbook for the run game and the passing game involving you? How has this impacted you?
It's been amazing. Just being reunited with him. I cannot say enough how smart he is. Just the way he calls the game, is able to get his playmakers the ball and things like that in space. Just the time that the plays get called and things like that. Just the work that he puts in that people don't see. I know he has long nights and early mornings. But it's been great. I mean, we have a lot of talent on the offense, and he does a great job. And I know he's trying to find different ways to get everybody else involved, because we have a lot of talent on this offense.
Right, but that run game is so important.
Yeah.
I mean, I looked up the math in the red zone over the course of his career. The running game in the red zone is so valuable to him. He likes running the ball in the red zone, which is going to be good for DeAndre Swift and the guys. I don't know if this is something that you've studied, or certainly you played for him, so you know. But you like to pay it off, right? Yeah. Those touchdowns matter.
100%. He kind of alluded to that when he first came in and kind of gave a speech on when we first red zone that you got to be able to. The great red zone teams run the ball in the red zone, so that's kind of something that, you know what I mean, we want to be able to do.
In terms of his work ethic, I know you kind of smiled there.
Yeah.
Can you give me an example of what? So, give me an example.
My routine, I'm here pretty early, and his car is always there before mine.
Can't beat them.
Oh, no. I don't know what time he get here, but I'm normally here about 5:40, 45, something like that. He's always here before mine. First one there.
Yeah. Do you ever knock on the door and say, "Coach, here's a cup of Joe for you"?
No. I know he already got it himself.
I saw something. This was from your days in Philadelphia with the Eagles. Oddly enough, with Terrell Edmonds, who was on that team, Tremaine's brother. You guys were right behind the screen for Game 2 the playoffs, National League Championship Series between Phillies and Arizona Diamondbacks. And I saw a different side of you, man. A relaxed DeAndre Swift enjoying a ball game. It was hilarious. You guys were mic'd up.
Yeah.
Tell me about that, because I loved it. That was awesome.
It was amazing. I forgot I was mic'd up throughout the game. But it was cool. That was my first baseball game I ever been to.
Oh, you're kidding
So for it to be a playoff game, it was crazy in there. The atmosphere was. I can't wait to go back to another playoff game because of that. I started getting into baseball because of that game.
Okay.
But it was cool, man. Especially going with Rel. It was fun.
Yeah. Well, when you're mic'd up, I don't know if have you been mic'd up in the NFL yet?
I have.
Okay. Yeah. You when you don't think, that's when the best stuff comes out.
Sure.
You're 5-0 though, so you got to watch out.
Right.
Cubs just clinched, so maybe you go to a Cubs playoff game and do the same thing.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Yeah. So I'm assuming Phillies are your team.
I wasn't even into baseball before that. Never watched a baseball game, but now I'm just a fan of the game, and so I wouldn't say I have a team.
What do you like about it?
Just, I know that how many games are in the season?
162.
So the stuff that they put their body through, the long season. I like going to see how they approach the game, looking to see how they act on the bench, if they down, just the atmosphere when they know they got to make a hit and things like that. And then at the Phillies game, I was asking a lot of questions too.
Yeah.
Like, okay, if it's a tie in the ninth inning, how many? Like, is it overtime? Like, what's going on?
So you really did not know the game?
I did not.
Never picked up a bat and ball?
I didn't. I never wanted to play baseball.
Okay.
If I did, I would be in the outfield. I don't want bat. Pitchers, you can't really. Nah, I'm cool.
How do you keep adding the armor on to make sure that you stay good?
Just by preparation and routine. You find something over the course of however long you're able to play, and just find different things that work for you, and that allows your body to be at the best it needs to be going into the game. I feel like you'll never be 100% after you walk into the first day of camp, but it's about being. Maybe I'm at 80, the best 100% I can be at 80%, and just finding things to do out through the week, and that starts every single day. There's really no days off when you're in this game and in this league.
No question. Game day ritual, what is it?
Game day ritual. I always pray. I always pray with my family. Before I take the field, we always get on the call. Me, my mom, my dad. Yeah, they'll make sure they'll call me and we'll pray.
You got headphones on, earbuds.
Yeah.
What are you listening to?
A little bit of everything. Future, little Dirk, Meek Mill, just anything that keep me hyped. Little Jeezy, stuff like that.
Yeah. So you're a mild-mannered guy.
Yeah.
Is there ever a time a hyped-up DeAndre Swift behind closed doors that would shock me, maybe?
On Sunday.
Thank you for your time.
No, thank you.
Appreciate it. Good luck this season.
Yes, sir.
Coming up, we visit with former Notre Dame quarterback Steve Beuerlein, who's calling the game as an analyst for the Dallas Cowboys National Network. It's next on ESPN 1000 on the Bears Radio Network.
Welcome back to Bears Weekly on the Bears Radio Network. Here's your host, the voice of the Bears, Jeff Joniak.
Welcome back to Bears Weekly, everybody. With Tom Thayer, I'm Jeff Joniak. This segment of Bears Weekly brought to you by Athletico Physical Therapy. Visit athletico.com to request an in-clinic or virtual appointment and start feeling better tomorrow. Our special guest this week is the former Dallas Cowboy, starting quarterback at Notre Dame, and a 17-year NFL veteran working with Compass Media Networks as a Dallas Cowboys radio analyst, also on CBS television as an analyst, joined by quarterback Steve Beuerlein. Steve, thanks for the time, first and foremost. And you may have the most unique job in the NFL radio business because, if I'm not mistaken, the Cowboys are the only other franchise that has not only their flagship radio broadcast with the great Brad Sham and Babe Laufenberg, but they have a national broadcast featuring a trio of individuals and you as a color commentator. Is this correct? I didn't even know this until recently.
Well, I learn more about it every time I talk to somebody new. So I can tell you that I didn't realize that we were the only other nationally syndicated radio team or operation with our deal with the Cowboys. I know Compass Media Networks is very broad in their reach as far as college and NFL coverage. Multiple games, both levels, every single weekend. And I just was offered this opportunity to replace Danny White, who had been doing it for the previous 12 years. And was really excited to take the opportunity because I do have history with the Cowboys as one of my 6 teams. And to be able to get back into that environment. And with all the chaos going on in Dallas, they've got as much going on there as anywhere else. It's been a lot of fun. And Compass Media Network has given me this opportunity, and I'm really excited about it.
Well, Steve, I want to tap into your head as a quarterback, because right before we went on air, you said about a quarterback, as long as he's showing progress. So with all your background as a quarterback, whether you're looking at Dak Prescott or Caleb Williams or any other young quarterback in the NFL, what are signs of progress to you?
Well, there's a lot of different ways to measure it, I think, Tom, but I think first and foremost is just consistency in the overall performance. Are you getting more consistency as you go along, where the coaching staff can kind of get an idea of what to expect and what they can count on week after week? I think that's one of the things that if you were to talk to offensive coordinators and head coaches, I think the first thing that they would tell you that they want out of their quarterback, especially, obviously you got to make sure that the person has the physical skills to play the position. But after that, it becomes consistency. What does this guy bring to the table that we can count on week after week, that we know he does this well, he's going to be comfortable with this type of a package? When we call this type of play, is he going to be consistent with his decision-making and all the way out throughout the course of a game? So I think consistency is one thing. And I think the other thing you hear, it's a kind of a cliche, but is he making the same mistakes twice or more than that? Is he learning from his previous mistakes and not doing the same things over and over again? I think you also, the third way, and I think this is every bit as important, you see those flash plays where they make those throws in the key moments of games, or when an opportunity presents itself and he makes that special play where you're like, that's why we drafted him.
Steve Beuerlein, our guest here on Bears Weekly on ESPN 1000 of the Bears Radio Network, with Tom Thayer, Jeff Joniak. Dak Prescott looks like he's coming in hot. Plenty of weapons and healthy. How big of an impact is he about to make here in 2025?
Well, I think everybody has pretty high expectations for Dak. He's produced at a very high level for a lot of years. And, the last year, I think a lot of people forget he was having, before he got hurt, he was having arguably his worst season as an NFL quarterback. People say, the Cowboys floundered last year because they didn't have Dak for half the season, but he was 3-5 when he got hurt and had 11 touchdowns to 8 interceptions. He was as big a part of the problem as anybody else, as any other aspect of the team was last year. So I think he comes into this year with a lot to prove. And, the numbers speak for themselves, what he's done over the course of his career. The wins, the number of wins. I mean, he had 3 consecutive seasons before last year of 12 wins. That's pretty hard to beat, and very consistent and very impressive from every different perspective. The numbers have always been great, but I think the big thing for Dak that he has to get settled and rectified and get the monkey off his back is he has to win the big games, and he has to improve on his 2-5 record in the playoffs.
The NFL, a no patience fan base, a no patience for development. So that now I read a couple of articles about the way they talk about Matt Eberflus already. You lose Micah Parsons right before the start of the season. Is from owner on down, are they going to have patience with the defense? And if they don't support the offense like they're expected to in Dallas?
That's a great question, Tom. I really do think that there are a lot of very concerned people right now based on what's happened to the Cowboys through the first couple of games, and especially against the New York Giants last week. I mean, you're talking about a team that has struggled, at historically poor levels over the last few years offensively. In their week 1 game, 0 touchdowns, only 6 points. And then they come into Dallas, and they're like a juggernaut. I mean, Russell Wilson throws for 450 yards. there were guys running open all over the field. I have no idea how many times I made the comment, that cannot happen at this point in a ball game. That's the one thing that cannot happen. I think I said it 5 times during the course of the fourth quarter last week by both teams. And it was things that, as a football player and as a knowledgeable football person, you look at it and you say, how can the Cowboys let a person get deep behind the safety who has deep third responsibility? How can you allow that to happen multiple times in the fourth quarter when you have a lead, when you have a slight lead? And that happened at least 2 times, maybe a third time last week. But then the Giants were doing the same thing. So it was going back and forth. There are a lot of concerns about the defense. The number one thing that the Cowboys wanted to rectify, and they felt like they addressed it in the Micah Parsons trade, was to toughen up that interior defensive front by bringing in Kenny Clark, who's very established, one of the best interior defensive linemen against the run over the last 8 to 10 years. And they did do a much better job against the run, but again, it was the Giants. So you don't know how to really compare apples to apples versus last year. But, man, there were some breakdowns in coverage that were inexcusable. So to answer your question, there's a lot of red flags right now. I don't know how patient the people and the organization is going to be with allowing that type of thing to happen on a regular basis. I can't imagine Jerry Jones being too patient with that.
You guys have both been blessed by playing for unbelievable coaches. Hall of Fame coaches, in Tommy's case, from Ditka, Don Shula to George Allen. And then I'm looking down the list of a 17-year career. These are the people that touched Steve Beuerlein: Lou Holtz, Mike Shanahan, Art Shell, Jimmy Johnson, Tom Coughlin, Dom Capers, Buddy Ryan, and by the way, Al Davis drafted you. Who had the most impact?
There's really 3 that jump out, and there's 2 that I won't talk about. And those 2, I'll tell you who they are, but I won't say anything. One is Buddy Ryan, and 2 is Tom Coughlin, because I had incredibly difficult situations with both of them that were very, very unfair for a lot of different reasons, but we won't get into that. Of all the other coaches, now, by the way, I had 10 head coaches during my first 14 years in the NFL, if you can believe that. 3 in my first 4 years with the Raiders. Tom Flores, Art Shell, and Mike Shanahan and Art Shell. The 3 that I really talk about when I'm really, giving, positive praise to are Lou Holtz, of course, as impactful as any person in my life. I only had 1 year with him at Notre Dame, but it was a career-saving year, a life-forming year, and a year that I am still grateful for to this day as a friend of Coach Holtz and as a mentor to me. He was unbelievable in so many ways. Mike Shanahan is one of my closest friends in the world to this day. He was very loyal to me when he was the head coach first at the Raiders. That only lasted 20 games before they passed the torch to Art Shell, but I loved his offensive mind and his confidence that he showed in his quarterbacks. He chose me to be his quarterback in 1988, my second year in the NFL. And a lot of people felt that if they would have kept Mike Shanahan there, my career would have turned out a little bit better with the Raiders, and who knows what would have happened with his. But he was an incredible influence, and I got to play for him again at the Denver Broncos. So I was fortunate to start my career in the NFL and end my career with Mike Shanahan. And then I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Jimmy Johnson, the 2 years in Dallas. As a Notre Dame guy, it was very hard to accept the fact that I was going to play for Jimmy Johnson, of all people. And I told him that when I first met him. I said, Coach, I never thought I'd see the day I'd be playing for you. And he said, well, neither did I, Beuerlein. He goes, but we got coaches on this staff that believe you can help us win a championship, so I'm glad you're here. And once I kind of let that initial impression kind of take over, that he was happy to have me there, and I saw the way that he ran the football team and the way that he groomed us to win those Super Bowls. I was a part of one. I became a big fan. I mean, not as a person, he was a typical kind of, keep your distance personality as a head coach, but the way that he ran that ship in Dallas and what he demanded out of the players and the success that he had, it was no coincidence. I mean, he was a heck of a football coach, and I learned an awful lot from him. So grateful for those three more so than anybody else.
Oh, we'll see you on Sunday. Stop by our radio booth.
We'll be there. Look forward to seeing you guys.
That is Steve Beuerlein, back with more on Bears Weekly with Tom after this break on ESPN 1000 of the Bears Radio Network.
Welcome back to Bears Weekly on the Bears Radio Network. Here's your host, the voice of the Bears, Jeff Joniak.
This segment of Bears Weekly brought to you by IGS Energy with Tom Thayer, Jeff Joniak. We continue to break down Bears and Cowboys here tonight. I want to talk about defense. We're going to hear from Dennis Allen here in a minute. He's a man cover guy. Is he going to be able to continue to hammer that home with the loss of Jalen Johnson and what he has there still in the secondary? We don't have all the injury news right now, so don't know who's playing and how.
Well, first of all, if you're talking about stopping the run, you got Andrew Billings, you got Javon Dexter Sr. in the middle. They're two big bodies. And if they can take up multiple blockers and then the linebackers can capitalize on their freedom and they can limit the success of the running game, then maybe you can put them in those third and long scenarios. But then you're going to have to capitalize on your pass rushers. And whether it's having the luxury of Grady Jarrett in there and being able to run stunts and set guys free in the middle, or is it Montez Sweat winning a one-on-one battle to the outside? And that's what his reputation is, and that's what we've grown to expect out of him, and that's what we need to see more of. And I think Dennis Allen, he understands how to configure the defense where the offense, if they're sliding one direction or to the other, they may leave him at a one-on-one. But if he understands out of his stance, he's got a one-on-one, he's got to capitalize on it. And I always say it's not necessarily a sack. It's just hurrying the quarterback or getting him off his spot within that 1.5 seconds.
52 points, the loss of Jalen Johnson, getting one-on-ones in that pass rush, and affecting Dak Prescott among the topics here with defensive coordinator Dennis Allen.
There's a lot of issues that went on, and so there's a lot of dirty hands in that. We all accept responsibility, coaches, players alike, and we're focused on trying to make the corrections and get ready for Dallas.
I know you were hoping to have Jalen Johnson back for longer than a quarter and a half, but losing him, how does that change even how you can call the defense moving forward?
Yeah, well, look, I mean, we've been working without him for, most of training camp. We didn't have him in the first game. Obviously you lose a player of that caliber. It's a big hindrance to your football team. So, you got to readjust how you operate, calls you make, and each and every week's going to be different.
With Montez, Ben said that the coaching points he's hearing is just about when he gets those one-on-one opportunities, capitalizing on them more than he has been. How does he do that? Yeah, well, look, obviously we're 2 weeks into the season, and so there's going to be plenty of more opportunities to be able to do that. I think, we got to do some things to try to create some more one-on-one situations. When you're in these games that kind of are either you're chasing points or they're kind of close games, it doesn't get into one of these games where, it's a throw the ball every time. And I think that's where you're really able to kind of get after the quarterback a little bit. Look, I think it's just really about trying to create some more opportunities for him and then just being consistent in terms of his technique and his fundamentals, in his pass rush.
How does prepare for a quarterback like Dak Prescott? What are the keys to making him uncomfortable, slowing him down?
Well, look, like most quarterbacks, it's trying to get him off the spot. I think he's an outstanding player. I think he's playing at a really high level. He's certainly got total command of their offense. We're going to have to try to do some things to get him uncomfortable in the pocket. Hopefully we'll have some looks that have him hold the ball a couple of extra counts and try to affect him that way.
When you guys first brought in,
Shamar need to do to be a part of this pass rush on game day?
Yeah, I think really it's just continue to work and practice. I think he's had a couple of good weeks of practice. He missed a lot of time in the off season and training camp. I think he's starting to turn the corner a little bit. We've been impressed with some of the things we've seen, and so it's really about doing it in practice, and then when he gets his opportunity, taking advantage of it when we get to game day.
When you guys first brought in Deshaun Wright, what stood out about him as someone who's had to kind of wait his turn to get his opportunity?
Yeah, I think obviously Al had experience with the player. So he knew a little bit about who the player was, what type of person he was. The guy comes to work every day. He's smart. He works extremely hard. and I think he's improved. And we're going to continue to work with him and continue to try to get him to get better.
That last part there is about rookie Shamar Turner. Also, he mentions Al Harris, of course, the defensive back coach, on Nashawn Wright. And, one of the things, too, Tommy, the Bears on first down defense. Last week, Jared Goff was perfect. Overall this season, they've allowed the most first down yards in the 2 weeks. The Bears, 475 yards. So if you're getting first downs on first downs, you're averaging a high rate, which right now is pretty significant. You're going to have a hard time creating those second and third and longs.
Yeah, but I do think this is a copycat league. So if the offensive coordinator, play caller of the Dallas Cowboys says, well, look at the success that these teams are having on first down, and whether it's an inexperienced quarterback like J.J. McCarthy or an experienced quarterback like Jared Goff, if they are doing one thing and doing it well against this defense, you're going to see a lot more of it until you stop it. But that's when the experience of a guy like Dennis Allen comes into play, and he can say, okay, this is what we've been doing on first downs. We're going to alternate this a little bit and kind of try to take advantage or put ourselves in an advantage position. And I think it's something that we have to wait and see until Sunday afternoon. But listen, his Rolodex of defenses is as full as anybody else's in the league.
And here's another nugget. Dallas leads the NFL in second down rushing, 8.35 a carry.
That's significant.
Yeah. Now, maybe some big runs in there.
It's criticism of the two teams that they've played up into this point, one of them being Philly, and Jalen Carter spits at
Right.
Dak before the start of the game, and then this past week against the Giants. So, maybe that's opponent particular.
Yeah, that duo, though, George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb. Pickens got involved last week, 5 for 68, most of it in the fourth quarter. He can draw a lot of defensive pass interference penalties. He caught a touchdown, and, of course, CeeDee Lamb is CeeDee Lamb. 11 targets, 9 catches last week, 117 yards. So a lot of significant math there thrown at you, but they're a significant offensive team with a veteran quarterback in Dak Prescott. All right, we'll take another break. Back with our final segment here on Bears Weekly on ESPN 1000 of the Bears Radio Network. This segment of Bears Weekly brought to you by Athletico Physical Therapy. Visit athletico.com to request an in-clinic or virtual appointment and start feeling better tomorrow. Tom, Declan Doyle was at the podium as well this week on Thursday with the coordinators, always doing so. A lot of discussion about momentum. Managed to score touchdowns on their opening drives. Second half, though, that has not been the case. Couple of punts. He explained some of the reasons why here.
You want to start fast, and then, you want to be able to keep that momentum going. And, been able to do that twice. And our guys do a good job of being prepared and being ready for the plan. A lot of times those plays are kind of pre-scripted out. They know what's coming. And so we're able to prepare for that and really anticipate what we're going to see. But we've done a good job, the last couple of weeks getting points on that first drive.
What stood out to you about Caleb? The same way coming out of the half. Why is that not happening the same way coming out of the half?
I mean, you've looked at both weeks. We've kind of shot ourselves in the foot with, either penalties or just mistakes. That's something that, we're working really hard to clean up because obviously that can't happen. We come out of the half last week and, we false start on the first play. And, immediately you're putting yourself behind the sticks and now you're playing catch-up football. It's something that really across the board, it's getting cleaned up. Fundamentally, just every single day, our habits, how we practice, every part of that, we're really not giving an inch in any way. And that's the message and that's the standard that we're trying to live up to.
What stood out to you about Caleb's performance from Sunday and how it compared to the opener?
I think Caleb played better in this game. I think you saw a guy who has improved. Since we got here, he's improved a little bit at a time. This is a process. But, obviously played better than that first week the way we, after watching the tape. And we expect him to continue to progress. We expect next week to be better than this week. And, his focus is in the right place. He's coming to work every day and trying to really match his habits with his expectations. And, that's really where we're at right now with him.
What areas do you think he made the most progress, like from 1 to 2?
I think that he did a better job of playing through, with his eyes and some of the concepts. Just his general process, that was cleaner. Just, getting up the line of scrimmage and going a little bit. We utilized a little bit more tempo in that game just because it fit. But that was something that our operation was a little bit better and a little bit cleaner from that perspective. It's been less, us schematically being at a disadvantage and more so like, we got to clean up the penalties. We got to clean up the mental errors. We got to clean up the fundamentals and technique. That's the secret sauce. That's what we constantly preach. And that's how you stay on track. That's how, that drive in the second half looks like the drive in the first half.
Spacing and timing, critical against the Dallas Cowboys and the way they play with that zone defense of Matt Eberflus.
Yeah, first of all, it's limiting the mistakes, limiting the penalties. If you don't have those, and he brought it up, you jump, the running back jumps on the first play of the second half. The second series, they end up in a 3rd and 34, and you know that they don't have plays for those. But I was super encouraged by the tempo of a little bit of the no huddle or quick tempo offense that they had in a hostile environment in Detroit. Declan speaks like a student of Ben, and he understands what he's learning from Ben, and he understands what it means to the success of the offense. And that's everything that you want to hear, because the most encouraging thing is that you understand that it's starting to click for Caleb. And the more reps he gets, and even Ben talks about that, it's all about reps. And I say that all the time. And so the more reps that he gets, the more comfortable he's going to feel. The more comfortable he feels, the more they're going to be able to attack. So what Ben and Declan see, and they understand from the meetings and the time on the practice field, is that Caleb is getting a better understanding of this offense. In each week, he's going to improve. But I asked this week, significant, not incremental.
Yeah, a lot of talk about eyes this week on Caleb. Yeah. Get your eyes in the right place. That'll marry with your feet, and then your feet to your progressions.
Yeah. There's evidence of it. You look at, there's a first down out pattern to Rome Odunze that Rome Odunze understood exactly where he needs to be. I need to be 1 yard beyond the first down marker. I'm going to cut from the defensive back being inside shoulder contained to the outside. Caleb delivers the ball perfectly, catch first down. So be where your eyes are, know what your throwing foundation is all about, and then have confidence in your accuracy. And that showed everything in a play.
Yeah, and by the way, the Bears are not the only team not to score second half touchdowns right out of the gate. 12 teams have not scored a touchdown to start the second half. 12 have. So, yes, it would be nice, but not everybody's doing it just yet.
There's only 24 teams in the NFL?
No, the other ones are kicking field goals.
Oh, okay.
Now to special teams. Looking for a spark there to help out, too. Richard Hightower knows that the talent's really good there on Dallas in that regard. And then, in particular, Brandon Aubrey, the kicker from Notre Dame.
Brandon Aubrey is a really good player, man. Like, he has been on everybody's radar for a while. He's one of the best kickers in the NFL. He's got the strongest leg, if not the strongest leg. He can kick it from the other side of the 50. Pro Bowl player, as you know. I mean, that is a highly touted unit when you look at it, and they have been for years, right? So the kicker is really good. The punter is a Pro Bowl player. Turpin is arguably the best returner in the NFL. He's obviously, first team All-Pro last year, 2 Pro Bowls in his career, multiple Pro Bowl players over there. So we got our hands full, and we're excited for the challenge, just like we were excited to play a Pro Bowl returner last week. So we thrive on that. We're excited for the challenge, but we're gonna have our hands full this week. So our focus is totally on Dallas and trying to get these guys stopped.
With Aubrey specifically, what's your appreciation for the route he took to get here?
Yeah, I mean, great appreciation, and as with a lot of specialists, all right, and a lot of back-end roster guys, right, they don't have that first-round status. They don't have that status that allows them to have a little bit of grace period, if you will. So I have the utmost respect for that kid, watching his career and watching him develop. I just don't want him to make kicks this week.
When he's the 64-yarder he hit the other day, what is the key in blocking something like that when he's been in those situations and can kick from such a distance?
Yeah, I mean, the kicker is going to control what he can control with the height and the elevation of the kick. That's his part in it. And then the protection has to be firm on the inside. If any one of those things are off, or the operation's off, like snap or hold, or a lean is a little bit left and it's supposed to be straight up, or a little bit right and it's supposed to be left, those things allow for a ball to come out different ways to where you can get a block on it. So everybody thinks it's just snap, hold, and kick. I won't say everybody, but some people think it's just snap, hold, and kick and put the ball down. But if you take a ball and you turn it from here to here, it could probably come out like that instead of coming out straight. If you put it here and you lean it too forward and the kicker can't get the proper spot on the ball, it may come out low. So it's like so many different intricate details when it comes to kicking a football that a lot of people have no idea about. And sometimes those are the reasons for blocks, even more so than protection.
There have been some great kickers in the NFL. He's 30-year-old kicker, obviously started in professional soccer first, a soccer player at Notre Dame. He took a different path, but he is turning heads with his 60-plus bombs.
You know, so now are the recruiters and scouts, are they going to start investigating soccer talent more than they're investigating college kicker talent? Because if this is where the guy came from, obviously he developed significant leg strength and he's got his striking ability is second to none right now in the NFL. But listen, consider it a win if they're kicking field goals, because if you're keeping them out of the end zone from scoring 7 points, then that's a win for you. But yeah, the kid's been tremendous, man. Not a lot of us ever had him on our radar, but he has definitely showed up like a Category 5 storm in the radar now.
You know, else it could be a Category 5 is Luther Burden in the return game. I mean, Devin Duvernay, he's consistent. He's consistent. He's done a nice job, but he's ripped off some big returns here, 44 and 36 yards. Is this somebody to watch?
It is, but, you know, I'm more interested in watching the blockers because, listen, this transition of kickoff return has been in place now for a year in the beginning of this year. So I need to see more sustained blocks, giving these guys the opportunity to get beyond the 25 and 35 and start seeing some of these guys that have this type of world-class speed, a little bit of freedom to break one of these kickoffs.
All right, should be a fun ball game. 3:25 the kickoff. That's going to do it for us. Thanks to everybody for listening. The executive producer of the Bears Radio Network is Eric Ostrowski. Thanks to Jack McGrath in studio and to Dan Briley, Jordan Tredup, and Katie Fox. For Tom Thayer, DeAndre Swift, and Steve Beuerlein, I'm Jeff Joniak. This has been Bears Weekly on the radio home of the Chicago Bears, ESPN Chicago. Have a great night, everybody. Amber and Ian are next on ESPN National Radio.